Okay, so thank you for this opportunity. As Dan's already started to explain, this is going to be a little bit different. It's more of a workshop than a talk. And because it's interactive, I've been allowed to run for the full 15 minutes without leaving any time for questions. But if you do have questions, pop them in the Q&A box and I'll do my best to answer them and just flag them with my name so that I make sure that I catch it. There's two goals to this presentation. The first is to introduce the concept of responsible research and innovation and encourage you all to build it into your own work. The second is that this is a form of stakeholder engagement, which I'll hopefully show is an important aspect of responsible research and innovation. Basically, we want to gather your expert opinions on the issues facing minewater thermal energy kind of innovation, and then make those expert opinions available to the wider community. So as mentioned, we're going to be using Mentimeter. I'll be making QR codes, links, and Menti codes available at the appropriate time, but please make sure that you've got some kind of device available to access that quickly, because this is only a short talk. But first, let's talk about a little bit about what responsible research and innovation actually are. There's lots of definitions. We've got this fairly lengthy one on the left from von Schomburg, which says responsible research and innovation is a transparent, interactive process by which societal actors and innovators become mutually responsive to each other with a view on the ethical acceptability, sustainability, and societal desirability of the innovation process and its marketable products. And we do that in order to allow a proper embedding of scientific and technological advances in our society. Or to put it more simply, responsible innovation means taking care of the future through collective stewardship of science and innovation in the present. Alternatively, it's sometimes helpful to consider what is not responsible research and innovation. And we've actually got a great fictional example of that in Jurassic Park. So we were asked to consider whether scientists can become so preoccupied with their work that they spend so much time thinking about whether or not they can do something rather than stopping and thinking about whether they should. So a bit of a background on responsible research and innovation as a concept. It's been particularly valued by the EU kind of funding schemes and the European Commission. It's been built into the proposals for applying for funding for European framework programs and for Horizon 2020. And the European Commission have defined 6 dimensions. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead of myself here, aren't I? Right, yes, I'll backtrack a bit. So research integrity is one aspect of responsible research and innovation. And that has evolved in line with various societal concerns over the past few decades. There's been concerns around dual use of technologies, things specifically like nuclear technologies and recombinant DNA research, virus research. I think we're all very familiar with the potential issues of viruses around COVID. There's limits around self-regulation of particular technology development. And then there's also issues around equality. So, for example, it's now well understood that there's a lot of sex bias in both medical research and general development of technologies for use by people. And I think everybody's aware of the potential issues with artificial intelligence now. And the IAP issued a biosecurity statement, which, while it's specific to biosecurity, is still actually relevant for kind of all aspects of research and innovation. And this emphasizes that it's not good enough to just decide that I'm doing my research and it doesn't matter what anybody else does with it. We all have a responsibility to think of potential ways for misuse and how it can be more widely applied. So, as I was saying before, the responsible research and innovation has been built into a lot of European funding schemes. The European Commission has identified these 6 dimensions that include engagement, gender equality, science education, ethics, open access, and governance. And they've also identified 4 process requirements that need to be kind of embedded in research and innovation practices for them to be classed as responsible. So they need to be diverse and inclusive. They need to involve anticipation and reflection. They need to be open and transparent, and also responsive and adaptive. Responsible research and innovation has kind of evolved to encompass lots of different factors, which are illustrated in this figure of a boat floating on a sea of all these different issues. So we've got things like open research. So it was great to hear how the Living Lab and UKGS are already practicing open research and making their data readily available. And it includes things like research and innovation culture, research integrity, governance, trusted research, ethics, reproducibility, societal responsibility, environmental sustainability, equality, diversity and inclusion, and public engagement and research impact. Now, this can all look a bit overwhelming to navigate because there's so many different aspects of making sure that your research is responsible. So there's been various toolkits that have been developed to help navigate all of this. One of these is called the AREA framework, and this was developed by the UK Research and Innovation Council. AREA stands for Anticipate, Reflect, Engage, and Act. Now, the anticipation and reflection part of this framework, they're not easy, apart from maybe for social scientists. Research and innovation often involves a deep dive into a very specialist subject. So it's not easy to step back and take a more holistic viewpoint and consider how your own research and innovation might be perceived and used by different players. Reflection is particularly difficult in some cases because whilst you're reflecting, you might identify dilemmas that you don't know how to deal with. And this can actually be quite an uncomfortable process. So I just want to say now that it's okay. If you identify dilemmas, it isn't about adding more things to your to-do list or shutting down progress, but it's about identifying themes and concepts that the entire community can work on collectively to make sure that the outputs of research and innovation are kind of benefiting to society and don't produce any problems further down the line. Then we have engage. So engagement here isn't just about outreach. It's not a one-way telling the world about your research and innovations. It's about getting feedback, having a two-way conversation. So it was really great yesterday to see Gateshead Energy Company's public engagement approach. And I just want to note that there are opportunities to engage and seek feedback from stakeholders, including the public, at all stages of research and innovation. It's not just when it's being deployed into a community that it needs to be considered. And this workshop that I'm running now is an example of that. So we're going to use the AREA framework to explore how we can make sure that minewater thermal energy develops responsibly. So we're going to be gathering your thoughts using Mentimeter. Participation is voluntary. Participation is anonymous. I'm not going to know who has said what, so don't feel afraid to speak up if you think you want to say something that's potentially controversial. By participating, you are giving your consent to be a part of this process. And I'm going to be compiling these results. They're going to get used to inform in future stakeholder engagement events. They'll probably be used to help refine future research proposals. And I'm going to be making this data set available to everybody in the minewater community so that you can actually use these insights to steer your own work. I'm also hoping to be able to write up a paper about responsible research and innovation for minewater thermal energy, and those results will possibly get used in that publication too. So there's no wrong answers. And just a reminder that the recording for this is going to be made available publicly. If you're watching the recording, apologies, the links for the polls won't work. So you'll just, I'll invite you to think about what your answers would be and then enjoy seeing the answers coming in. So I'm going to be sharing the results live. I'll give you a Mentimeter prompt and then you'll see the word cloud developing as people add their responses. So please respect the process. Don't go writing rude words into the word cloud. So we're going to start off with anticipate. In terms of the area framework practice, questions we might ask during anticipate are things like, what are the intended benefits of an innovation? Are there any unintended benefits? Who is it that's going to benefit, and are they equitable? What burdens might be conferred? What are the potential hazards, challenges, or barriers? And this needs to be thought of more widely, everything from kind of public concerns through to environmental and commercial issues. And how might it address the grand challenges? So here we have the QR code, and I'm putting a link in the chat if you want to just follow that directly, or if you've got the Mentimeter app, then just type in the code 24635845 and that should work. Now let's see if technology is going to behave itself. So hopefully, if you've got the Mentimeter open, you should be seeing the question, what are the potential hazards of mine water thermal energy technologies? Please just type a single word or a short sentence. After you submit, there'll be an opportunity to submit more responses. You can submit as many as you like. And in a few seconds, the screen will be revealed, so you'll be able to see what everybody else is saying. If you see a word pop up that you're thinking, oh, yes, I agree with that, don't feel like you have to just leave it because everybody else is saying it, because the size of the word defines how important or how common that issue is. So we'll just give this give it a minute to kind of roll through and see what kind of things are coming up. So subsidence is a very big issue there. Got gas, contamination, changing in mine water quality, biological growth. So there's a lot of kind of physical issues here. But it's nice to see that there are some more sociological issues coming through there. So we've got things like knowledge, regulators, funding, angry residents, public misunderstanding, resource management, lots of good stuff there. Brilliant. Okay, let's move on to reflect. So the kind of questions you might ask yourself in the reflective process are things like, what are your own personal motivations? What might others' motivations be? And what are the values that those motivations are based on? Whose interests is the technology being developed in? Who might not want this kind of technology? And why not? And what assumptions are being made? What dilemmas or contentions exist, and what is not known? So I would like you all now to think about, what are the motivations for developing mine water thermal energy? I'd like to hear about your own motivations and also what you think other people's motivations might be. And again, in a few seconds, the screen will reveal what everybody's popping on. Okay. So yeah, net zero is a big factor there. Decarbonisation, energy security, combating climate change, community wealth building. I like that one. It's the right thing to do. Yes. Tackling fuel poverty, energy equity, self-reliance, just transition. So there's a lot of kind of energy related issues there, but also thinking about the societal benefits that go beyond just having energy and reducing CO2. Okay, time is ticking, so I'm going to very quickly move on to our last one, which is engage. And I'm asking, who needs to be consulted to ensure a successful mine water thermal energy technology industry? So just to kind of spark ideas around this, obviously we might be thinking the general public need to be involved at some point, but do we need to be thinking about what kind of supply chain streams do we need to be thinking about? Regulation. Are there any other stakeholders that we need to be responding to there. So yeah, we've got regulators, mining remediation authority, local authorities, schools, geologists. Brilliant stuff. Right, thank you very much for that. I think that one will stay, last one will stay open if anybody wants to add anything else. Now, to finish off, I've put together a more full responsible research and innovation survey, which you can get to by following this QR code and link, and I'll put the link in the chat just after the presentation's finished. This has 23 detailed questions to help you with your own area framework practice. So it's not just about us gathering data, it's to help you with your own anticipation and reflection. I'm going to be making these results publicly available to inspire everybody who's working with minewater thermal energy. And there's a link at the end of the survey to where the results are going to be published, which will probably be in the autumn. The survey is probably going to stay open until late July. So please delve in and fill it in and share your thoughts. And thank you very much.